Commonly, most charcoal is produced from burning or carbonization of wood above 280 degrees Celsius. Charcoal and firewood have been the most dominant fuel sources in Africa for ages past to date. And this has resulted in the depletion of our forests. Can charcoal be produced sustainably without felling trees? Yes. Is environmental sustainability and energy sustainability a reality and possibility in Africa now? Welcome to Energy Quest. Today we have with us Mr. Amin Sulemann. You'd prefer we call you?
Amin.
Okay. So viewers, Amin is here to educate us on some amazing innovations, okay? He is into renewable energy, but in the most unusual or uncommon way. He's making charcoal. Typically, what do we get charcoal from? Burning of trees. But this time, Amin has it in a very different way that we're all curious to learn so much about. So, Amin, thank you for joining us. The exciting part of all this for me is that this is an indigenous business, right? It's a Ghanaian business that has survived over a whole decade. And there are too many of our businesses that do not live that long. So thank you so much for doing us the honor. We are very excited. And then we are looking forward to learning so much from you.
Thanks for having me.
So first of all, I mean, let's know about you. Tell us a bit about yourself.
You already mentioned my name, so
Yeah.
I'll skip that. I keep saying that I'm a very curious person. I love to know about how everything works.
Okay.
I love to see how people create innovations. So I think my whole life has been led by curiosity, just to see how the world works and how everything works. And this has really challenged me to be who I am, because if someone is smart enough to build a plane, what stops me from building one?
I like that.
You know, so that's how I literally train my brain to, look at the world. Besides that, I've been running ZAACOAL for almost a decade. An idea that came to me out of curiosity, as usual. And I never expected to be still doing it, but interestingly, here I am.
Wow. So what's your educational background?
Went to Sunyani Secondary School, went to University for Development Studies. Besides my love for innovation, I always wanted to work for the UN. Growing up and watching these movies where you have like Hotel Rwanda, those movies in the war zone area, you only see the guys in blue, the UN guys coming to save the day. So, I felt so much for that line of work. And so because of the love I have for that, I chose to go for development studies as a university degree at University for Development Studies, UDS in WA. And for me, it was also to experience life beyond Accra and Sunyani, where I grew up. So get to see what's happening in the other parts of the country. So I remember even when I was applying, a lot of people, even family, were like, you don't know anybody in WA, what are you going to do there? But that was what really attracted me, the fact that I didn't know anyone there. I wanted to see what would happen. And I loved my stay in WA.
Yeah,
I've also been a DJ for most part of my life, and I still DJ at home.
Okay, you love music.
It's the only way to de-stress.
Okay. Yeah. So in studying development and now it's charcoal.
Yeah.
How did this come about?
I think development studies and charcoal are in some way related, because basically the concept of development studies is to solve communal problems using solutions from within, right? And UDS had this interesting program, whereas other universities were running a semester system, UDS runs a trimester system, where we have 3 semesters. So you do 2 semesters in school, and then on the 3rd one, you're taken to a village, right? A rural area. You could be from Accra and your village is somewhere in the northern region, like all across Ghana. So I remember, and it's credited. It's such an interesting program. It's called the TTFP, 3rd trimester program.
every year?
From first year, second year, third year,
Okay.
and then final year, you stay on campus. So I remember my community was somewhere after Ejiso, after Fijiase. It's called Senieja.
It's called
Senieja.
Senieja, okay.
Yeah, everybody from any course you're reading, you're taken to a rural community. You spend a whole semester there. So you look at the community's problems, and then you write a report, you write a proposal. So it's part of your course, and then you'll be graded for it. So each community has 10 students, and students from different courses, different classes, different programs. So I was in the WA campus, UDS had Tamale, and then Navrongo.
Okay.
So I literally had about 3 people from WA, whom were not even my mates, and then some from the other campuses. So we're 10 in all in our community. So the job was to look for what the community has, the challenges they have, and how we could address them. So you are taught community entry in school. You are taught how to engage people in school, in class. So when you're taken to the village, you're just left there. Yeah.
Survive.
So, yeah. The bus just gets to the community. You look, you're dropped there. Everybody who knows this is where he's coming also joins you. You drop there, and then you survive. You find your way out. So that's when you get to engage maybe the community leaders. You get to see assemblyman, chief, tell them your mission, and then you're given a place to live. Then you survive a whole semester there. So I loved it because
I would love it too. It sounds exciting.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, imagine coming from Accra and then going to all those parts of town. So community development or development studies in some way has a relation to what I'm doing now. Because if I live in a community called Ghana and having experienced life in the northern parts of the country, thanks to UDS, growing up in Sunyani and Accra, I have come face to face with the realities of life.
You've become a holistic Ghanaian.
Exactly. So, I mean, I grew up with a grandma who would take us to farm, and then when coming from the farm, we don't just come with foodstuff. You come with firewoods as well, because that's what you cook on. So I have all of these things ingrained in my mind, like, hey, we have a lot of problems. Now, this is what you claim you want to do. You've been trained to do this to the extent you've been taken to places you never knew existed, and you've survived there. What can you do? So I was experimenting with this, but the main idea that got me into ZAACOAL was, I was at the time reading law, somewhere 2013.
Okay.
I was trying to read law, LLB, and my class used to be at Empire in Osu. So coming from Fadama, you use the Dankwa circle all the way down Papaya area. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm a very curious person and I observe a lot of things. On the usual community class, you realize from Dankwa all the way to Papaya and even beyond, every junction there's somebody selling coconuts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's somebody selling coconut. And as you drive around Accra, almost every junction, any busy area, there's a coconut seller on the street. So out of curiosity, and I would say out of the training from development studies from UDS, started asking questions as usual. What do these guys do with the waste? They have so many of these guys on the street. What do they even do with it? And who do they take it to?
Where are they dumping
even if they are
it
dumping it to the waste companies, where do these waste companies take it to? So it was out of these usual like subconscious conversations I was having with myself, then, I mean, it happens, okay, let me just go to class, I'll close. And then one day we went to buy kenke in my neighborhood at the time in Fadama. Then we realized the woman selling the kenke was actually using the coconut husk, the waste, in her fire to cook the kenke instead of firewood.
Okay.
All right. So I told you already, I'm super curious. And I asked myself a lot of questions. So while I was there, it kind of occurred to me that, wait, the raw material for charcoal is firewood.
Yeah.
Here's this woman using coconuts.
What's the correlation?
Maybe we can use coconuts because if it's working in her process, maybe I can also use this to make charcoal. had no experience in charcoal making. I knew nothing. I mean, I was going to school, probably become a lawyer and maybe get a UN job.
The long-time dream.
You know, so out of curiosity, I remember while I was on campus in WA, I used to work with the GBC radio as a DJ.
Mr. DJ.
Yeah, as a DJ. And you wouldn't believe the show I used to host. I'm a Muslim, but I used to be the gospel show host.
Really? We should talk more about that.
Yeah. I used to be the gospel show host every Sunday.
Okay.
So I was a bit popular amongst the locals and also the students because of the job I did. And I had a lot of friends who were into the charcoal business. So I remember when I had that idea from the Kenke sellers place, I called a few of them I knew were into the charcoal trade and said, hey, I want to come see how you do what you do. Went there, I joined them for like a week to see how...
Oh, in Wa?
Yeah, in Wa, to see how they were doing it. So I came back to Accra and I lived in North K, Fadama at the time. There was no way I could do it. How they were doing it in the north, where they have these little pits, they put the woods in there and then light it on fire, cover it with sand and some grass. So they have a lot of smoke going up.
And then they burn that until
it becomes charcoal.
Okay.
So
and how long do they burn it for?
So for their process, it could take them about 3 days to a week.
Oh, burning all through.
Yeah. So that process is actually called carbonization because you are converting something from its natural state into carbon because charcoal is pure carbon.
Okay.
All right.
So that means that atmosphere will be smoky all week.
Yeah.
Actually, always, because when they are done, they do the next and the next.
Yeah. So the main science behind what they are doing is to light the wood on fire and they cover it with grass and sand. So the whole concept of the science behind it is to prevent oxygen from going in. So if you allow too much oxygen...
Oh, to trap the carbon dioxide.
Exactly. So if there is too much air or oxygen going in there, it will burn to ash. But when you prevent the oxygen flow going in there, it carbonizes and becomes charcoal.
Wow. That's pretty simple, but interesting.
So that's how it works. So basically, with this understanding, I came back to Accra and I couldn't deal with the way they were doing it. So I remember when we were on vacation.
But that end, is it done maybe in the bush?
Yeah, it's in the bushes.
It's not within neighborhoods, no?
No. It's in the bushes. So I realized I couldn't do it. I didn't have money to buy land in the bush anywhere in Accra. I mean, where are you going? So I started with a tomato can. I tried to modify the process as I had understood from the north. Found a tomato can.
Okay.
Yeah, a tin tomato can. I made some holes on the bottom, put some few pieces of coconut in there, and then once it was lit,
you already tried with coconut, not the lumber they were using.
No, I tried with coconut. So I just spoke to a coconut vendor, those in the wheelbarrows. Just drop a few in front of my house. I'll see what I can do with it. And he left them with me. So tested in the tomato can. I made some holes at the bottom, so I put the coconuts and then I put it upside down. So when the smoke starts coming, I just mix the sand with water to get mud and then seal up there. And then eventually the tin burns itself to charcoal. That experiment working. So that experiment working was like what lit up that region fire in me. I love that it worked.
That's it.
So
the little boy in you had not left.
I still am super curious. So I loved it. Out of curiosity, now this thing has worked. Next day, we had moved from the tomato can to like a bucket, those metal buckets. We made some holes, still worked. So I was on vacation and I had time.
Oh, yes, you're still in school.
I was still in
school. In law school.
Yeah, trying to do LLB.
And nobody was questioning you at home. What is all this about?
They knew
you're always up to something.
I've opened every gadget I've ever had, so I'm used to it.
Mystery kid.
The house is already used to me doing that. So it worked from a tomato can to a bucket. We were loving what I was doing. So I went in and got barrels, the oil drums. Now let's do it on a bigger scale and see. It also worked. But then with the oil drums, because now you're doing it bigger, the smoke was coming. So I remember going to Abubloshi market. I made some people design chimney.
Okay.
So now the smoke will go up. And
Oh, so they made a chimney over your barrel.
Cover the barrel. So now the smoke goes up and doesn't disturb neighbors. For me, there was
that
no
chimney, you'd have air going through there as well.
Yes. So
but
now,
does that not affect the carbonization?
The funnel is longer. There's no air coming in.
Oh.
Do you understand?
Okay.
Good. So for me, there was no commercial intent. It's something I was doing because I'm on vacation and I had time. And I was experimenting an idea. You know? So I fell in love with it. And there's this thing that I used to say that I actually started it with my fees because I fell in love with it so much so that I wanted to see what would happen next. So what will happen? What else can we improve? And I mean, you're a student, you're not working. So you have your fees. Okay, let me just
go the charcoal is free.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, the coconuts
are free, but I'm buying drums. I'm going to Abubloshi to get chimneys done. I'm trying to design and fabricate my own machines. All of these you are paying for.
You haven't told me about the machines.
Yeah, I was experimenting how I could build machines to make the charcoal.
Okay.
So go to Abubloshi, see this with these metal guys, the old men. Okay, we'll buy motor this, we'll buy that. Okay, take the money. So eventually you realize that you spent your fees doing something that's not even paying. Because I didn't even see commercial value in it. For me, it was just like a side hobby.
So that means now you're adding on your barrels,
exactly.
More barrels,
at some point
fix the chimney on.
Even whilst at home, I grew to about 20 barrels at home.
So you had started selling the charcoal?
All this while was not even commercial.
So what do you do with the charcoal?
So I produce, give it to my auntie to use. Other neighbors who were also curious what I was doing would just
free charcoal?
Yeah, for free.
Okay.
Because I knew nothing about the whole charcoal trade. I knew nothing about the industry. So it was never business for me. Okay. It was just an experiment.
Okay.
Just to go back to school. But eventually you've used the money small, now you finish. You can't go back to school.
Charlie.
So I loved what I was doing, to be very honest, and I still do. And along the line, said, okay, let me go engage the charcoal sellers, the women in that trade. I engaged a few of them in a conversation, and I mean, you get to realize it's good business. They are bringing it from the north or BA region. It comes to Accra, they distribute it. And I engaged them as usual out of my curiosity because I wanted to know how this whole industry works. Now I know the commercial value of what I was doing. But I've now gotten extra insight from the people already into
the business. Yeah.
So for example, I started producing my charcoal and the first package I did was a 2 kg bag. All of these were informed from my engagement with the charcoal sellers because they know their customers better. The Ghanaian does not buy things in bulk. We would prefer to buy the 5 kg bag of rice than to buy the big bag of rice. We don't
when
want
it's
to
done,
buy.
then they come back.
When it's done, we go back to buy. So that is the reasoning behind the charcoal sellers tying it for 2 cedis instead of selling the big sacks.
Okay.
So with this mindset, the first ever package we did was also 2 kg.
Okay.
So these women will be able to sell and quickly come back for more.
Oh, so you started doing the packaging, packaging for them.
Or like originally, I was also tying them in the plastic bags and giving it to these women. The same women I had engaged.
The same way they also do their charcoal.
So I spoke with a few of them. They loved it.
Were they making better margins?
Yeah, they were making a lot more margins, and they loved what I was giving them instead.
What was the difference? Was it burning better?
Yeah. It burns
It takes
better,
a longer time for them.
Longer, and I think the game changer for us was when we decided to set ourselves apart by registering a company called ZAACOAL and then putting a label on the packaging. Now we had some real estate on the paper. We could put whatever information we want to put. That was the game changer for us. And we also learned that the charcoal, the women in the business, they get dirty. they're inhaling a lot of the dust because they now have to bring a whole bag of charcoal
and
down
now come and separate it and tie it, and you're
when
doing that work for them.
You know, and when you buy a big sack of charcoal, you have about 30% being smaller pieces you can't use.
That's waste. Yeah.
But for us, it comes in a definite size. You can see it, and it's the same size all throughout.
Oh.
You don't get dirty. And when someone buys, they now have to bring the
rubber
bag
and come and tie them.
Now it's in paper bags, so it's cleaner. So that's
so they just pick the bag.
You just pick the bag, take your cash, and then.
So simple.
So simple. So that was when I started seeing commercial value, because I was giving it to these women to use for free. And when they loved it, they asked us to do it, a business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so this story is very interesting to me and most practical. It's just like a natural community built, and then because you didn't plan going into the industry, you actually have studied nothing directly in charcoal. This is amazing. Okay, so zakoal is regular charcoal.
Yeah, I don't.
What's the difference between the briquettes and the explain to us.
Okay, so when you produce charcoal, I mean it's already charcoal or carbon. So the difference between briquettes and charcoal is normal charcoal or charcoal is compressed, right? Compressed to become much denser, and this makes it last way much longer. Okay. Because it's compressed, it's denser, it's heavier than normal wood charcoal. And if you do the analysis, because of the raw material we are producing from, it has a shell, which is a very hard material. I mean, how easy is it for you to even break the coconut shell? That tells you how hard the material is. And for us, we're using what's available on the street. So it comes with the fiber and the shell.
Yes, I was going to ask, are you using both?
We use both.
You just blend it together?
Everything. Every waste we pick from the coconut vendor.
You want every waste?
Yeah. So we do this, and the fiber, as we all know, burns really well. So now we have the fiber and the shell all burning very well together, compressed together. So now you have a very cleaner burning charcoal or fuel. You have it lasting way much longer than the normal fuel, normal charcoal, because of the hardness of the shell. And here it is also compressed, so it's long lasting, long burning, and the energy.
Is it the process that brings about the difference?
It's the processing and also the raw material. I've experimented with a lot of other raw materials. Almost any waste material I come across, I try to see if we can do with it. We've tried bamboo, we've tried a lot of other agricultural waste. They all work well, right?
Oh, really?
But I think coconut gives you the best.
The best way.
Yeah. It's much heavier, it's denser. You get value for money. Yeah.
Okay, so because of the source of your material, your kind of charcoal is said to be more sustainable.
Exactly.
So in what sense would you count it as this one being clean compared to the other ones?
So we are much sustainable compared to wood charcoal, because not a single tree, in fact we've written it on our bags, not a single tree is cut.
It's cut, yeah.
Or is harmed in our processes. All right, just like they do in the movies, no pet was harmed. So for us, no tree is harmed in our processes. So you can imagine a country like ours. We have about 32 million people. Out of this 32 million, according to data from the Energy Commission, over 75% of this 32 million people are still cooking on charcoal and firewood.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if these people want to cook, because Ghana is not a fast food economy, we love to cook our own meals at home. So if all these 75% want to cook, their first choice is charcoal or firewood. What do you think is happening to our forests?
That's a scary analysis. I mean,
in 2020, 2021, Ghana was probably the #1 country in the whole world that has lost the most forest.
In the world?
Yes.
Not Africa?
Not Africa.
In the world?
In the world that has lost the most forest in
How
2020.
did we end up in that place? Is it just because of production of charcoal?
Yeah. And data from in 2017, data from Forestry Commission. I mean, they have all of these info on their website.
Okay.
In 2017, a report, I remember it was published by one Dr. Kwache. And it says that out of 100% of trees cut in the country, 90% is actually used for fuel.
Wow.
So it's just about 10% that is used for furniture or or construction. 90% of all trees cut in this country is for fuel.
It's for fuel. So if we put in more in the idea of either promoting charcoal on your end or other forms, maybe LPG, maybe whatever, I think we'll be in a better place.
Exactly. I'm not against the promotion of other fuels or other energy sources, but having been in this space for this long and knowing the kind of demography we serve, the Ghanaian will choose price first.
Of course. And that's not just the Ghanaian.
Yeah, the Ghanaian will choose price first over everything.
Yeah.
And accessibility is the next thing the Ghanaian looks out for. So yes, we want to push gas to every house in the country.
Yeah.
How affordable is the gas? When was the last time there was an increase in the cost of charcoal versus the last time there was an increase in the cost of gas? So the more there is an increase in the fuel prices, the more people.
But your machinery are you using diesel? Are you using? We don't use. What kind of fuels do you use to run your machinery?
So we run on electricity, and then we have a dryer which uses a natural gas. And
this is a true clean company.
Yeah, and sometimes
we're proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, this is through and through clean cooking business you're doing here. Yeah. This is what we do on Energy Quest. We demystify the energy sector and add value. Till we meet again. Ciao.